When parents begin therapy, one of the most common questions I hear, why this therapy first? Why this particular order? Why can't we just do everything at once? What I want to share with you is what I call the developmental pathways model. That is a trademarked model I use in clinical practice, but most importantly, why sequence matters. For those of you who don't know me, I am Maud LaRue. I'm an occupational therapist. I have a private practice in Glen Mills, Pennsylvania since 2001. I have been traveling and training since 2007. I opened my own academy in 2019, and my pathways model, developmental pathways model, has been trademarked since 2025. Child development does not all happen at once. It happens in different layers that scaffolded on top of each other. If the foundations are too unstable, expecting higher level functions too soon can lead to frustration, shutdown, and also the kind of behaviors we don't want to see. This model is designed to respect how the nervous system develops, organizes, and integrates. In phase one, we first focus on building the foundation. Think of it as building the foundation of a house. If the foundation of a house is not stable, then building the walls on that foundation is going to crack. In this phase, we include occupational therapy from a developmental perspective, speech language therapy from a speech developmental perspective, DIR floor time, because play is where the child integrates and assimilates information, and tomato sound therapy, because that is my most important regulatory tool that's in addition to the therapy services. Phase one focuses on regulation, connection, and sensory processing. Before we ask a child to time, to sequence, to coordinate complex movements, the nervous system needs to feel safe, regulated, and ready. In this phase, we answer very basic but essential questions for the child's brain. Can I stay calm in my body? Can I process sensory information accurately? Can I connect and communicate with others effectively? The occupational therapist helps to support sensory inputs into the body and the way that the body shapes its adaptive response to the environment. The speech pathologist supports communication and language foundations. We may not focus on speech yet if that's not part of the child's individual profile, but we will certainly focus on engaging, making connection, having a way to access nonverbal communication, and getting into the flavor of wanting and having the communicative intent. DIR floor time strengthens emotional connection, engagement, and shared attention. Tomato sound therapy supports auditory processing and also nervous system regulation, supporting also the connection to want to engage in communication. Without these foundations, higher level interventions will be far less effective. Essentially, the mantra is, initially we go slower so we can go faster later, avoiding as much dysregulation as we possibly can. In phase two, we start adding more timing and coordination, more organization. In addition to the services provided in phase one, we may add a program called Interactive Metronome, which is a scientific-based, peer-reviewed program that is pristinely dedicated to the essence of timing in the body. What the research studies are saying about interactive metronome is that it works on timing, on rhythm, sequencing, and motor coordination. It requires the child to be able to tolerate structure, follow the timing cues of the program, and maintain attention and emotional regulation. If a child is still struggling with sensory overload or emotional regulation, Adding this type of work can become very overwhelming. When introduced at the right time, however, this work can be incredibly powerful, helping to improve attention, coordination, executive functioning, and learning outcomes. In phase 3, we focus on advanced neural integration. In addition to the above, we may add a program like Neuroline. If phase 2 focuses on millisecond timing through interactive metronome, the Neuroline program focuses on microseconds of the visual, the auditory, the vestibular systems coming together in coordinated timing. It adds a lot of oculomotor work, it adds auditory work, it adds working memory, it adds the coordination of the sound, letter, symbol association. The program is incredibly rigorous because of the high components of neural integration. And therefore, doing that program before we are not well regulated can be extremely troublesome. The Neuroline program for me is not a starting point, but it's a stage of refinement. How much of each phase is going to be necessary is going to depend on the individual profile of each student or child going through the program. Different combinations of different pieces may be necessary. And where one child may need to stay much longer in phase 1, another may move very quickly to phase 2, and maybe even quicker to phase 3. It all depends on how the individual profile is being assessed and being coordinated by the therapist that is leading the team for this child. This trajectory helps us to focus on the process of learning, the process of development, rather than over-focusing on the product of what needs to happen. We all want to see what the child is capable of. But a child's productivity does not start when they come out of the womb. You first need to develop the structures in the nervous system, the networks in the nervous system, before skill can actually show you the kind of productivity that you want. If you, for instance, want handwriting or you want to have speech, those are phase 3 types of skills. And so if you're jumping over phase 1 and 2, that's often why it feels to you like I'm going from therapist to therapist to therapist, but I'm actually feeling like I'm just squandering my finances. I'm just not getting to the answers that I need. And it's simply because we're not looking at where that child is in the trajectory of development. Development has been the same since the beginning of time. It's not something I created. It's something that's always been there. And if it's good enough for the typically developing child, it's good enough for the child that's not typically developing. It's not about catching up. It's about filling in the gaps. And when we fill in those gaps in ways that's supportive of where the child is in the moment, they can feel the groundedness and the support that their own bodies are providing them to get the learning and the products done that we so badly would like to see. Each phase prepares the brain and the body for the next, creating lasting, meaningful progress rather than short-term gains. When we respect development, the results are not only stronger, they are more sustainable. The developmental pathways model honors the way that every child out there has been designed to develop.